So first up, I really want to thank all of you, either watching live now, which is like Lily and Eunice, or you're watching a recording of this, or you're watching me live on Facebook. Wherever you are, I really appreciate your time because, I think time is the most... Oh, sorry. So then... Oh, that's perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, sorry, let me quickly restart this beginning part, right? So first up, I really want to thank all of you, either watching live now, which is like Lily and Eunice, or you're watching a recording of this, or you're watching me live on Facebook. Wherever you are, I really appreciate your time because, I think time is the most precious thing in this world that you cannot get back, right? Money, you can definitely earn back, yeah, with some creativity, with some hard work, but time once lost is gone forever. And this is one of the most equal things that everyone has. You only have 24 hours in a day. Whether you are rich or poor, that's the equal thing everyone has. Now, I really want to, acknowledge people like Xuan Xuan. So I got to know her through a sharing which I did to a group of parents of primary school children who really prioritize their children's education, especially on maths enrichment. And they have, I think, an audience of 6,000 plus or so. And she really connected with me, right? And then she sent this heartfelt message, which I really thank her because then through her also I know what is important to parents of primary children. She really wanted something, so that her children can focus better in their education, which I'm sure all of us who are mothers, fathers especially, we want that for our children as well, right? And with all this temptation like, TV, YouTube and all this. So yeah, focus is important, yeah? So then I really thank her for this knowledge and this acknowledgement. And then she also, because I think she realized I think she trusts me, which I really appreciate her trust. She also got some herb packs from me, which yesterday she bought, and she was telling me that, it was really yummy, and her children finished the 2 bowls also, which I'm really, really happy for her. And of course, it's her commitment as well to take the effort to actually make the soups for the children. I think a lot of people got the knowledge, got the recipe, which I have given a lot free, but I'm really not sure how many people actually out there took the effort to actually make it right for their family. Yeah, I mean, it's really the action that counts in the end. And of course, 10 days ago, I did my first webinar, and it was on pregnancy and herbs as food. Some of the topics I covered there was, why is herbs and healthy diet, healthy eating so important, especially for the mothers and the babies, especially for the mothers. One of the key benefits, of course, how do you get back to your pre-pregnancy health size? How do you get back to your pre-pregnancy clothes, right? These are all the key things that was covered. And also what herbs do you need to avoid, some of the common issues, and then I shared a few recipes there as well that can benefit pregnant women, so that they, some of the common issues are like edema, water swelling, right? And constipation and so on. And then what are the recipes that can share? But then through that exercise, I realized that also, the recipes can also benefit a lot of urban women, especially urban professionals who prioritize everything else but their body, which is like, their work, their money, right? But the last thing they worry about is their body because they haven't had the, big issues yet. And most of the time, because our body has a natural ability to heal itself. So most of the time, what will come up first is the small nagging issues like headaches, right? Like fatigue, constant fatigue, which a lot of people or the pharmaceutical industry or the media out there want us to believe that this is normal. Right? But it is not normal. That's the thing. It's not normal. Yeah. I mean, for example, throughout my whole pregnancy, I didn't take even Panadol. That I didn't even need to take those. And I didn't even need to take any medications, So yeah, so it is not normal to have this common cold every year and so on. It is not, okay? But everything out there wants you to believe that it is normal. Now, so another lady who then watched my recording, she wasn't I know I wasn't clear, unfortunately, sorry, apologize for that. My first webinar, I wasn't clear that, about the links to register in Zoom. So she watched the recording, and then she's 62 years old, right? So really committed lady. So she wanted to pass on this legacy of health knowledge to her children. And I think that's the best gift anyone can give to your loved ones, right? And not only that, so her last sentence is the most encouraging for me, right? She's like, keep up my efforts. And then I just really want to acknowledge, her and every one of you watching and supporting. So then this is really the reason of then what I do. And then you are also the driver behind that, I continue to do this and share my knowledge. Yeah. So with that said, the disclaimer part, right? So just very quickly go through this again. I'm not a doctor, not a medical professional. I'm not treating or diagnosing anyone in this talk. But what I'm sharing is that because it's through my own experience, I also have invested a lot of money, time, right, to learn about health. And I realized I have the ability to actually make things simple messages. So because ultimately simplicity, right? If something is simple, then you have an incentive to take action. If something is so complicated, which is so common in any articles, any write-up reports out there about health, but what you need to do is so confusing, right? That after you read, you're like, okay, so what are the next steps? Or there may be like 10 or 20 actions that you need to take. So what do you prioritize first, right? You end up more confused than before you start. So I don't want that. So ideally, I want my sharing to be actionable, to be simple. So that's what my sharing is more about. So it's not a lot of information, but I just want to really pass on the key ones. Now, effect of toxins, I want to really highlight this first because this is from article or research done in, this was first done in 2012, where the Dr. David Bellinger, he is from Harvard Medical School, they did a studies, right, and they found that this three toxins, right, mercury, lead, and organophosphate, are responsible for many things, but among the key ones are the lower IQ in children. Yeah, that means the mothers, pregnant women who are exposed to this kind of toxin when they're pregnant versus the mothers who are not, right? And then their children, how is their intelligence, how is their IQ affected? There is a huge disparity. This is just one of those big things because I think, this is one of those that really people emphasize a lot, right? If you are genetically already disadvantaged, then you are, you're quite, I would say, you're in a bad place. This is one of those that I just want to highlight first. There are many, many out there, but I just want to quickly highlight, right? And then there's another story, which is a story shared by a cardiologist, right, in California. He wrote the book Clean, which this is a true story of his friend, right, who the mother is super active, but the daughter, only 7 years old, already developing breast, has period menses, right? Which is definitely abnormal. I mean, most people get it around like 12 years old, right? But her daughter got it at 7 years old. And this is, yes, this might be one of those extreme cases, but I just want to highlight to you a story which could be very alarming because of the modern day toxins that we are exposed to. So because the mother knows this cardiologist, right, and of course she got in touch, and the cardiologist immediately asked, this daughter to be scanned for tumor because, just worried that there might be this tumor inside her body that, messes up her hormone production that, basically too fast, right? The hormones is coming up too fast, too rapid pace, because 7 years old only. Can you imagine if you are the mother, right? How worried sick you will be. Yeah, so then luckily nothing of that. So then they're still puzzled then why is it? There's no answer to be found, but eventually the mother decided to change completely their diet, of course for the daughter as well, got rid of all the toxicity in their food mainly. So the one of the key things that she did was she bought everything organic. Yeah, which means, of course, her bills of food, of grocery tripled, 3 times higher than what she spent before on food and groceries. But after, I think, about a month or so, right, the effect stopped. That means her daughter, 7 years old, stopped the breast stopped growing and her menses stopped. So you see, this is just one of those things, right, that through just food alone, right, so much big changes that result in her daughter. Yeah. And so that's something to think about. Right now, I'm not asking you to completely go organic because of this story, but I just want to, through this story, highlight to you how simple things like just changing your diet, getting rid of all the toxins in your life. One of it, big ones, is through eating. That things can change drastically, right? And this is a true life story of how it has changed, right? Sometimes medicine, even advanced medication cannot explain a lot of the things that happen, but as long as it works, why not, right? Yeah. Now, next up, right, we have another studies did in 2014 by also Harvard Medical School, right, and then another university in Manhattan, that highlight these 12 toxins that occur in our everyday life, everything around us that we consume or we expose to, are actually the silent killers, right, that cause toxin to be in our body. And some of it is very hard to avoid, really, right? So I just want to highlight a few. Manganese is something in the canned food, yeah? Fluoride is, of course, in our toothpaste, but they're also used in water treatment, yeah? Chlorpyrifos is used in pesticides, which means how we get those. Sometimes it's not a direct link, right? Pesticide is used to spray on our fruits, our vegetables, yeah? And the PBDE is the one at the right-hand side, is used a lot in, is plasticized, how do I say? They use a lot in the manufacture of the furniture. A lot of household stuff uses this kind of plastics. And mercury is another example. Where is it used? Dental fillings, right? If you have dental fillings, even silver has it, yeah? Sushi, a lot of people love sushi, isn't it? If you eat too much of those, especially tuna, right? Because the big fishes are actually the biggest, it has the highest amount of mercury. Why? Because they eat a lot of the small fishes down at the chain. And then basically they took all the mercury, yeah? Because of water pollution in the sea. It's really just that, right? So eating sushi, a lot of people love sushi, including myself. But of course, pregnant, I cannot eat now, right? But I love it, right? So I'm sure a lot of people share that, especially people in Singapore. And ethanol, which means alcohol, which again, you know, people just love alcohol, especially during the holiday season, isn't it? Because they say it's a good way to celebrate, right? And yeah, and of course, the other very common one is phthalate, which is used in a lot of plastics to make the plastics more rigid, more sturdy, to hold our food. Now, if you forget about this list, right, even if you just think of a supermarket, just think when you step into the supermarket, right, everything in there, almost everything, is packaged in some form of plastics. And it will leach out, right, into the food, into the items slowly, yeah? Our fruits, right, the wax to make it look pretty, all these things are toxins, right? Now, the thing is, it's pretty hard to actually not take it in. The question is then, what can we do, right? So moving on. Yes, so we talked about toxins a lot, but how is it bad, right? How is it bad, I think? So one way to think about it is really that, most of these toxins are actually acid. And, right, first of all, before that, our body, right, our body need to maintain a certain balance to function healthily, to function at the perfect optimal level. The one which is very common, as you know, is the temperature of people, right? Our temperature need to be at, I'm sure all of you know, right? Especially those with children, is 36.9 degrees Celsius, right? Another indicator which is very important to keep in balance is the alkaline level. Let's just make it simple, alkaline level. And for people who, who may have done science before, the acidity or alkaline level range from 1, which is super acid, right? Which means it can really literally burn holes even in metal, to 14. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 is the most alkaline level. Yeah. This is the range of alkaline level. Now, so our body, just like the temperature, you're right, the ideal number is 36.9 degrees Celsius. For the alkaline, right, the ideal number is 7.36, which is a little bit on the alkaline side, right? Because 7 is the average, 7.36, so a little bit on the alkaline side. But, so that's the ideal, yeah? And how you know, because not many people talk about this, right? How do you know how alkaline or how acidic you are? Is you can buy those, if you really want to know, right? You can buy those, they call it alkaline strips, or to test your acidity alkaline level from pharmacy. Some of the bigger pharmacies will have, like Guardians will have in the bigger malls, right? They will have those. It's not expensive. It's a box. It's just strip. And then you test it on your urine. Ideally, first thing in the morning, your first pee, right? You test it and then you will see. And then the color will tell you, there's an indicator on the side to compare how acidic or how alkaline you are, yeah? So that's how you know where you are to start off with. Now, so the ideal level, as I said, is 7.36. But a lot of the food that we humans take nowadays are acidic, yeah? So very simply, right, is what are the acidic food? Or what are the acidic sources that will cause our body to be acidic? The top ones is actually not food, You know what is that? You want to take a guess? So I cannot interact with anyone because I didn't think Lily, I'm not sure whether she's still there, but Lily, if you're there, if you can just guess, what is it that causes acidity in our body? The first one is actually emotions, thoughts, and what are those? Anger, frustration, impatience, yeah? All this is the number one toxin actually, yeah? Stress, guilt, this is the worst actually. And then followed by, again, people around you, your relationship, those are the worst as well. Then, of course, the most common ones then is that because we eat all the time, right? So many of us, especially in Asia, are foodies, right? We call ourselves foodies, proudly so. But actually, naturally, we don't need to eat so much. Our natural biology, I would say, we don't need to eat so much. But the moderners, right, modern lifestyle, somehow we find comfort, we find happiness in eating rather than using food as fuel, right, to get this vehicle going smoothly. We use it more as a comfort, yeah? And the thing is this, and not only are we eating healthy food, right, a lot of us eat what? For example, if you have children, right, very commonly, if you open the fridge, you will have a lot of those acidic food, especially like chocolates, cupcakes, right? Sweet stuff, donuts, candies, right? All these are processed food. And processed food is basically then fake food, right? They are not real, they're not raw, they're not natural. They're not from the earth itself. So this is all acidic. Now, what does acid do to our body? Now, the most key ingredients here, if you can see the picture, is actually red blood cell. Yeah, the red blood cell, what does it do? Red blood cell is the key vehicle to carry oxygen and nutrients, right, in our blood. And our blood is basically the one that moves through our whole body to carry oxygen, nutrients across to every part of body so that we can have oxygen and so that we can be alive, right? So the first picture, as you can see, right, the red blood cells is far apart and they seem to be moving very fast, right? They seem to be very active. They look like children. Versus the second picture, they seem to be clumping together, right? They seem to be sticking together. And they seem also to be moving slower, although it is not a moving picture, but you get that sense of what I'm talking about, right? Now, so in a normal, healthy person with alkaline level of about 7.36, right? You probably get the first one. You get the first one where your bloodstream is moving very fast. Your red blood cells is very active. You know, they just moved, right? And second one is when you have a very acidic environment. Yeah. How is that? How does that work? So when you take a lot of acidic food, this acid, right, will basically, so first of all, let's start off with this red blood cell. Red blood cell actually has a positive charge, and then the surrounding it is actually the negative charge. So one is positive, one is negative, right? And because of this positive and negative, and then they actually move very fast, right? But what acid does is actually it reduces this positive charge, yeah? And it reduces it so then it doesn't move as fast, right? Because as you know, if electricity is strong, just like a battery that is fully charged, right? Things move very fast, right? Like that. But when it is weak, so the acid actually weakens the positive charge in the red blood cell, making this red blood cell very slow in moving. And in the worst case, where you have a lot of acid, it actually, kill off this cell, yeah? And so what happens? And then you get to the second picture where red blood cell is not moving so fast, so they stick together. And then as you know what happens when they stick together, they move slowly, right? And then things doesn't move as fast. And then one of the common example of this, or common result of this, is when you have fatigue, right? Your oxygen don't flow as fast. So that means you don't have enough oxygen going through the part of your body which needs it. So you are tired. Literally, when you're tired, it just means there's not enough oxygen to certain parts of your body, especially the brain. Yeah. So that's just one key example of how toxin is bad. It basically, make your cells, make your blood very acidic. Yeah. And then because of the acidicity, it actually slows down the movement. Yeah. And that's how it actually then make you fatigue and then many other problems. And of course, if you continue to add this acidity, right? Now, the thing is this. If you don't change your diet, if you continue to have bad emotions, if you continue to have toxic food continuously, without stopping, without any cleanse, right? Then, so your body is able to some extent to heal itself, right? So it will take alkaline from other parts of your body. You will find the alkaline from other parts of your body, including your fat, right? To compensate, to try to fight this kind of acid. But if you continue to bombard it with a lot of acid, right? Your body is not able to do what it does best naturally. So then more and more acid will build up, yeah? And then one of it, for example, is that it will basically, right? The worst case is that in a heart disease case, right, it will rupture your artery. Why? Because this is too much acid, right? Acid will actually, imagine rusting, right? Rusting, basically too much acid, it rusts the metal. So in that sense, it's the same thing. So in the worst case, you can get a heart disease case. That's just one example of how acidity will actually, make you have that kind of bad health. Yes. So yeah, then another example I can give you is that, right? You know, when you are cooking, or sometimes you smell some pepper get into your nose, right? You will have that mucus, right? And then you naturally you sneeze, right? Most people it will happen that sneeze. That's just the natural reaction from your body to try to get that foreign object out. The foreign object is actually the pepper in this case. Yeah. So one of the things that is happening is that also, right? People who take a lot of acidic food, one of the symptoms that really come is that you will have a lot of mucus. Yeah. So in your nose or as phlegm, when the mucus is gathered too much congested, it becomes as phlegm. And then this, right, will actually, what it does is that if these are not removed from your body, it actually stored in your intestines, right? And then this mucusy thing, supposedly to protect, because the mucus, it will wrap up all this toxin. It supposedly to protect, but if you have too much of that, right, then it basically clog up. Because it's mucusy, right, it's very sticky. It will clog up your intestines. And that's why then a lot of people nowadays, it's very common to have constipation, right? Bowel movement not frequent, very difficult, right? Or bloating, gassy, puffiness. Because why? Because of all these mucusy things in your body that cannot be removed, right? And the worst thing is this: if you continue not to remove them, then they actually so first you have this bad object, right? And then your body forms the mucus to wrap it, and hoping that at some point it will get released out, you know, from your bloodstream, from your intestines, out to your bloodstream, then out to your feces, meaning your poo-poo. Now, that's a normal one. But what happened was that, right, in the case when it's too much toxin already, your body is not able to do its job. So maybe it's hard to imagine, but imagine like this. You know when you have, so imagine the garbage collector, right? Because there's so much garbage in the community, in the house, right, that they just cannot do the job of dumping all the garbage yet. They are busy packing it up, you know, busy gathering it into their truck, that they have no time yet to dump it out of the neighborhood. Is that kind of scenario. Yeah, there's just too much toxin coming at one time. There is limited capacity to handle the load, right? So they can only do one thing at one time, which is in this case, they're just trying to package the rubbish first into the bags, into the central place, where later, if the load is stopped, if the toxin production load is stopped, then they can remove the toxin load. Yeah. So if you continue to bombard your body with toxin, this is what happens. You know, you just cannot remove it because it just stuck there. Yeah. Yeah. And then that's why you have all these big problems like, you know, constipation, as I've said, all these problems getting out of your system, and then you just feel uncomfortable. Yeah. And if it continues to stay in your body, then these also create even more toxin, because then they will release their own gas as well. They will release all this bad bacteria as well. And that adds on to the problem even more. Yeah. So, yeah. So now, having said that, so what can you do? Right? I mean, maybe I have scared you so much that everyday life we have so much toxin, and then the way that it affect our bloodstream, that make make us tired, headache. Those are the first sign normally, but those are the ones that you think, oh, maybe it will just go. It's nothing. It's a small thing. But actually, these are the early symptoms that you probably need to take care of. Take note of. Yeah, bloatedness. You kind of know is there, but a lot of people also have. Maybe it will go away by itself. But no, these are the signs. These are the messages your body is trying to tell you that you need to do something. Yeah. Now, Of course, I think there's many things you can do, but I really just want to narrow it down first today to like 3 things. Yeah. So first thing you can do is definitely manage your emotions. Apologize, I think there's some jet plane flying across, so I will just a bit slow down first. So first thing, why do I say emotions? Because, right? Because the number 1 toxin is actually how you react to everything that happened around you, right? The key ones are those negative feelings that you have, like anger, frustration, stress, guilt. Those are really, really the big ones that, you know, even people who are healthy, people who are alkaline, if you continue to have those emotions, right? People who work out, people who like tip-top shape, from outside you look at them, they're like super healthy, they're tip-top, right? But if they continue to be stressed, right? If they continue to say, oh, I must do X amount of, I must do 1 hour workout a day, and then I must reach this, like, you know, 100 push-ups a day. This kind of perfectionist, right? And if they don't get to that level, they get very stressed out. These kind of people will actually be more unhealthy than someone who is more relaxed, you know, who may not look as tip-top shape, but then, so the emotions I felt is really, and I also, you know, have research done, read those, that people, emotions are really the number 1, really, right? People can just, like, if people who are otherwise healthy can actually create some illness just because they are worried sick, yeah? And this is one thing that may have come up quite recently. I mean, the COVID-19 is a classic example now. And because there's just so much negative media out there, and if you really, you know, just keep reading all this, actually, if you have no symptoms, I think you might worry yourself sick. So that's the other thing, right? So yes, be aware, but at the same time, be sensible as well as to what you need to do. As long as you have done your part, I think, try to, you know, keep a relaxed mind, have that faith, right, that, you know, what you do is good enough to carry you through, okay? And then if really something bad happened, then let's handle it. But don't start imagining things that, you know, what if this happens, then what do I do, right? And so don't be too worried, and then you actually cause illness in yourself, right? You actually created that illness, yeah? And this is actually one example, you know, of one of my grand aunts, you know, so it's my husband's side, you know, she had some cancer, but because of her age, she couldn't, you know, they opt not to do the chemotherapy, which is perfect because she, you know, after a while, she was very healthy. She was looking radiant, you know, they did the natural way, just through healthy food. They just eat a lot of healthy food. And then it seemed to be under control. But one day, she dyed her hair. She went to dye her hair. And it turned out, I don't know what happened, but it turned out that the hair color is not what she wanted. So it was white color, but she wanted maybe something like brownish. And then she got so upset with it. She in her mind, she think that she looked so old, she looked so useless, she looked so haggard because of the hair color, you know, that suddenly her condition just became worse. It was really almost like overnight. It's really baffling. We don't understand, but that is exactly what happened. And so since then, you know, there was a lot of inflammation, there were a lot of swelling at her legs, and then not long after, she passed away. So I felt this is really a classic case of those people, right, who because of your mind, because of your emotions, right, really made you sick. You know, the cancer didn't kill her really, because she was diagnosed with that already like many months ago. But it was settled, it was stable. And if this hair dye didn't happen, I'm sure she would still be alive today. You know, so it's one of those classic cases which I thought is important to share with you. So here, what I mean here is then, find something to laugh about. Even if there's nothing to laugh about, just laugh, okay? If you try this exercise now with me, right, just literally laugh. For no reason, just laugh, right? Just laugh. Lift up your this facial muscle and just laugh, okay? If you keep doing that for a while, if you really force yourself to do that, do this, there's no way you can feel upset, seriously, for at least that, 10 seconds or 20 seconds that you are willing to participate with me. Just do this, because really your physiology determines how you feel as well. Sometimes we just have to force ourselves, because if nothing else can make you feel good that day, you just have to force yourself, right? Because, yeah. But of course, if you can, there are many, many things that you can find joy in, right? Like that day, I was just watching a cartoon with my boy, right? And it was so funny. I find it so funny that I laugh until I cry. That's like the best kind of scenario where you laugh until you cry. Literally, if you can, watch a movie that is going to make you laugh, right? Anything that you do. So like my boy today, so children are the best because they're the innocent ones in this. Like today, he was upset in the car, right? His usual moody. Then suddenly he saw this bird, hummingbird, that is, sucking on the nectar on the flower at the side of the road because the taxi was stopped at the traffic light. So suddenly he saw this. He immediately changed his moodiness. He was angry with me, right? Just for no reason, as usual. To suddenly he was happy, and then he said, this is a special day because he saw this hummingbird, and he said because he never saw this before. So just find joy in every small things in your life, right? Don't sweat the small stuff. It is really true that then you can naturally be healthier as well. This is one of those really free things that you really need to do. Second is hydration. And I'm not just talking about any hydration here, because a lot of our water nowadays go through water treatment. And a lot of the water treatment plants do use a lot of chemicals, unfortunately. So what can we do is we just try our best. Here the word is this. Try our best, right, to reduce these toxins, to neutralize toxins, to alkalize those acidity. Definitely here, I recommend second thing, very important that everyone should do is to drink enough water, right? You will know when you don't drink enough water. You will feel here your lips is dry. That's already a sign that you're not enough. If you don't pee like almost every hour, then you're kind of not enough. Your pee color will tell you know that, right? It's a bit yellow. It should be very clear color. That's the best. Then all these are signs, which I'm sure you know, but common sense, again, is not common practice, So the other thing is this, you must drink alkaline water, because a lot of the food that we take today, even though you're eating healthy, are acid. So you need to at least get your water up, right? Your alkaline level of your water up. So you can drink about 9.5. Like in our family, we have an alkaline water machine. We set it to 9.5, so it's more alkaline than it needs to be. So it neutralizes the acidity. But if you don't have an alkaline machine, what do? You can easily do this by squeezing a fresh lemon. So like half a lemon for 1 cup of water, the first thing you drink in the day. That's what you can do. And then the other half, you can put it in your big bottles, 2-liter big bottles, that you then consume it throughout the day. So the first cup is very sour, but you know what? When you mix lemon with water, it actually becomes very alkaline. So when you drink it, it's actually very good for your body. It's a very great cleanse that you can easily do. Warm water. So meaning, just warm water. The first cup is warm water. So that's half a lemon, 1 cup water. The other half a lemon, put it in a big jug of like 2 liters so that you drink that throughout the day, right? I know people sometimes forget to drink water. So what you can do, set alarms, put it everywhere that you go, right? If you're in an office setting around you, people work from home now, next to your desk. And of course, best to use a glass bottle, right? Not plastic, all these things. What else? If you need plastic, the other option you can use is a good metal. Those good metal bottle. Stainless steel, stainless steel. Now, what else? I'm trying to think about water. The other point is this. Yes, The other thing is this, maybe many of you watching are parents, right? Parents of children, and you have a huge responsibility to instill this habit in your children since young, because normally these kind of habits are instilled since young. And I am an avid drinker of water, plain water I'm talking about, because my mom has actually instilled in me, my parents have actually instilled in me since young to drink a lot of water. And this is plain water. I have seen very close family members, right, that because of ignorance, right, ignorance or just unaware, that since young they are given sweet water, meaning not to say they want to give them sweet water, but because kids by nature don't like this kind of tasteless water. So as an easy solution, a lot of caretakers, mothers, grandparents, grandmothers, and so on, add a little bit of Ribena, right, or honey into the water to sweeten it. Although it's just a little bit, but when you give them since young, they are so accustomed to that sweet taste, right, that when they are adult, they really don't like the tasteless water. Even the lemon water that is a bit sour, right, they're not used to it. So very important message here is that parents, right, please, mothers especially, because whoever is in charge of the kitchen need to make sure that the children, right, they are exposed to plain water. And how do you do that? I mean, my boy as well included, he doesn't like, but we still try our best. I don't want to put honey, or at one point I did put honey into the water just to make sure he drink more. But after that, we switch method, basically think of what else can we do. So we make it, depends on the child, and most childs are competitive in this case. So we use some, some games, right, to make him drink. How we say, grandfather don't drink water, that's why he get all this ugly skin, or he doesn't get this special treat because he don't drink enough water. But if you drink enough water, you get this special treat, right? Or you get that special toy or something, right? Or just make it a game, so to encourage them to drink water. See what they like, what naturally incentivize them. Use those things, right? So now the latest one, my boy, he likes to drink from a cup with straw. So I just put my water into that cup, right? Put my alkaline water into the cup, and then I have to remind him every half an hour or so just to drink water. And every time I tell him to do that, he just drink a sip. But that's fine. As long as he do that, I'm okay as well. There was one phase where he wanted me to say the word drink water in a special way to make him drink. So I did that as well. So there are just all these different ways that you can do, as long as you know what you want to achieve. And I think it is very important here, because you directly determine their health, because you are the caretakers, yeah? So one thing very important is water, because if they are so used to drinking sweetened water, then they're also very easily addicted to soda, ice cream, chocolates, and all these sweet candies later on in their lives when they are bigger. There is this natural correlation. If you're not used to drinking plain water, if that's not a normal for you, then naturally you will prefer those sweet stuff, And that's exactly what happened. But of course, the other thing you can do to your water is you can add some fruits, right? You can add some cucumber, mint, to make it more variety, except just lemon, right? So these are the very, very key things. And I really, really want to drill it across to parents with young children. This habit really have to start young, unfortunately. And once you're older, it's just much harder to form, yeah? And of course, children see what their parents do. So as parent yourself, you also need to be cognizant. You also need to be aware of what are you doing. Are you drinking enough water yourself? Or are you drinking a lot of soda water as well? Or are you drinking, a lot of those things they call pure orange juice, but it comes in those plastic paper container, right? That again has a lot of toxin in it, right? Because there are plastics involved, right? They need to seal it. They need to keep it fresh over a period of time. All these are toxins, yeah? The third one is, as much as possible, go organic, right? Meaning buy fruits, vegetables, meat. Now, okay, let's talk about fruit and vegetable first because we're talking about organic. Fruit and vegetable, buy those organic ones. And for meat, try to get those that fed on grass versus those fed on corn or wheat, because most of them, you know, their feed is actually grown using a lot of pesticides as well. So it's just a chain cycle, right, of toxin. Now, excuse me, of course I know it is not easy on the wallet if you go everything organic, right? And I also don't go everything organic. So the next alternative that you can do is for the fruits and vegetables that you buy, right? Like tomatoes, strawberries, blueberries, all those especially, they have a lot more pesticides than other, or even our vegetables, right? A lot of it has a lot of pesticides. So we have to soak it in baking soda, yes, and water, of course. Then, you know, we have to clean it properly. At least that can remove as much as possible of the pesticide. Alternatively, you can also use like essential oil, lemon essential oil that is of pure grade, yeah? That means that's edible grade, that can cleanse away all these pesticides. So two options, right, that you can do. So three total: buy organic or soak them in baking soda and water, or use some pure grade lemon essential oil, right, about 2 drops or so, and then wash all your produce. But for meat, unfortunately, right, you can wash that as well, but then ideally you want some source of meat that not locally grown, but I would say that they are free range, right? That so that they are allowed to roam, that there are no hormone injection, those kind of meats. That's the best. And of course, for fish, wild caught ones are the best. So again, avoid those with high level of mercury, right? Like tuna. Yeah, the best ones, if you want some guidance, is like salmon. Salmon is generally quite safe, right? The smaller fishes are generally okay. The bigger fishes, including even garupa, are considered like, you know, medium mercury level. I was quite surprised too. But yeah, so just again, as I said, I'm not trying to stress you out from this presentation, but if anything, I would like you to take away these 3 things. First of all, do not stress, right? It's important to be aware, but at the same time, it's important to keep calm and just do what you can. So happy emotions, just force yourself to smile using, you know, just literally laugh, right? There are people, there have studies been done that literally people got well from their serious depression because they just laugh for no reason. They call it laughter therapy. Literally, there have been studies done. People who are, you know, certified to be depressed, they've actually gotten over it just because they force themselves to laugh for, I think, about 30 minutes or 1 hour a day, right? Because they have to do that study, so they put that regimen in place for them. So these are people who are depressed clinically really. And if you are not, so this is the least you can do. Find joy, find wonder in small little things. Try to be like children. Just try to be like children, I think. Yeah. Second is really the water, because the water, if you have enough water in your body, at least it can neutralize a lot of this acidity. Yeah. And the third one is then, okay, that's why it's in that order 1, 2, 3. Of course, there are many other things which I will share again in, you know, future webinars. But yeah, I think for now, this is sufficient. I rather you commit and do these 2 things, if not maybe 1 and 2, right? 1 and 2, to at least keep those acidity in check. I think that's more important, yeah. And lastly, what can you do? So what else can you do? If you have questions, can connect with me, either join my Facebook group, right? Health Secrets with Herbs, or email me, right? Of course, there are soups to, you know, to help all this digestion, to help get rid of toxins, to detox. But very, very key, I think, still, right? There's no magic bullet with soups, yeah? You still must, you know, have that healthy emotions, positive outlook in life. And second is really, really hydrate. And the key here is alkaline water, yeah? So yes, so if anything, if you can commit to just those two things, you have already done me a great favor, and you have also done yourself a great favor of spending the time with me today of 1 hour. Yeah. And again, I just want to say, health is really the most important thing that you can give to yourself and also your loved ones, right? We are so obsessed with big things in life, right? Money, looking great, buying that nice condo, right? Or just, want to show people that, we have how successful we are. But we neglect the most important fundamental thing, which is your body, because your body is your health is really what needs to carry you through, right? So the last question I want to leave you with is, do you want to be the richest man in the grave? Yeah. Or the richest woman in the grave? Yeah. Graveyard. Yeah. So, okay, with that, I thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you watching this, either live or recording, right? If anything, again, I just want to stress that please do 2 actions daily, consistently, which is, right, check your emotions, force yourself to laugh, force yourself to find joy in little things, and hydrate, alkaline water. That's really the best. Okay. And thank you so much. And yes, I gotta go now. I will see you next time.